My time. We have stream.
Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for Friday the 13th. Let us hope that that is not an omen of anything. I am Dave Slusher. I'm here with my compadre, Chuck Tomasi.
I'm Chuck Tomasi, and I think I'm screwing things up by sharing my screen right now. I don't see Dave on the YouTube feed.
It's all right.
Turn that off.
We'll figure it out. Are you sharing a screen of your own?
Yeah, of my own camera.
Oh, you were sharing the screen of the camera.
I'm on the screen, but I just upstaged you.
in 2 years, that's the first time we've been through that particular one. So
we're doing the pre-check.
All right. So what we're doing this week is we're going to continue the integration of Todoist with ServiceNow. So Chuck, we kind of left on a cliffhanger where some things were working, some things were basically it was working. And then we had a few. We went to do the webhook, and the webhook was not working right.
That was our stretch goal anyway, so I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and this is philosophically, like in show structure terms. Sometimes if you got a few minutes and you try a thing, and you do it, and then the thing you tried doesn't work, and even though you successfully did everything that was in the agenda. Like when it's the last evaluation was false.
Right.
And that's the return value. And it feels like a failure. So everything that was on the punch list was done, for all the things you wanted to get going. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry forward from that point. And we are, in fact, actually going to poll the chat room a little bit before we do that. We've got kind of two forks in the road. We'll actually ask for input for you viewers to see if anybody has strong feelings one way or the other. And here is a promise to everybody who's watching. If you're watching on Twitch, I will pay attention to the chat this week. We got some answers on Twitch last time, and I realized, we had never actually gotten questions coming in via Twitch before, and so they went unanswered. I will make sure from here on forward we'll always address anything that comes in via Twitch as well. So with that said, let's have your long introduction, my friend.
All right. Hey, my name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow. I'm Senior TPMM. Been doing the platform for about 10 years, a couple as a customer, the last 8 as various professional services, solution consultant, and marketing roles. So my focus has been around the platform, specifically custom applications and integrations. So this is right up my alley today.
And I'm Dave Slusher. I'm developer advocate in the platform business unit here at ServiceNow, developer.servicenow.com. Ding! If you want to know more about ServiceNow development. That's kind of the central hub for activity there. And next big question. This actually is way streamlined when there's only 2 of us. What, my friend, are you drinking?
Well, it is a day of choices. You said we get to choose the content, but I also had a refrigerator full of a variety of beers. So my choice was between Kona Longboard and Kona Castaway. I chose the Kona Castaway.
I actually have more options than I've had in a long time. I'm going with this Folded Mountain Pale Ale, which has basically the same vector as everything I've drank on the show in calendar 2018, which is they had it at Aldi's. So I've never had that. I'll get a 6-pack and see how it goes. So there you go.
Nicely done.
With that, if you want to share your screen, and let's
you bet.
Get into it.
Gotta find Skype again. Share screen. Put that.
As I was telling Chuck in the pre-show that I made the terrible mistake of updating Skype on the server, which led to about 5 minutes where I thought, am I going to have to scrub the show? Because I updated Skype.
I believe I got to turn a camera off somewhere too.
Let me turn mine off.
There we go. On, off, on, off. I think that's off. There we go. All right. I don't know why the whole real estate isn't being shown or not being utilized, but that,
my friend, is also Skype on the server.
That's a confusion and mystery for us.
I will see if I can fix it on the fly. So
my quick update is we left that the webhook wasn't communicating back to ServiceNow, and I did find out what was going on there, and I will take you there real quickly just to show what I did, because I did a couple of extra things that made this really cleaner, smoother. My inbound scripted REST resource, I think it's on this screen. I'm in Studio. This is our Todoist API. And somewhere down here is the checkbox that says requires authentication. It was turned on. We are not doing any authentication with this at the moment. I don't know if you can from the webhook, how you would do that, if you have to generate a token and pass that and whatever. So I'm leaving this kind of open because this is a test bench right now. We can get it working first, get it secured later. I know you're supposed to design in security, but that was the key to making this whole thing work. Once that fired, I started seeing the JSON messages appearing as I was updating projects and updating items, the tasks in Todoist. That's what we're working with today, Todoist. Sorry, having a Friday afternoon moment there. So that is working, and it was communicating back. What else I discovered was when I went to a Todoist episode and said, hey, go generate me a bunch of tasks for, say, number 54, which is in post-production right now. We're waiting for the video to come back. I would get my tasks down here, all 14 of them, from the template table, and about half of them would have Todoist task IDs. I said, what? Because we were sending out that initial outbound REST request, just a standard REST request that said, generate me a task, and the response payload will have the Todoist ID in it. Well, I'm not sure what was going on, if maybe 14 REST requests is too much for Todoist to digest at one time, because they were just going, boom, here's 14. So what I did is I said, well, what can I connect here? Because every time I created a task, I was getting a webhook return. And I said, well, good, I'll use that. Maybe there's something in there that I can use. It does send back an event name in the JSON payload, which we can see from the log. I've got one today when I was twiddling around with the projects. I don't remember doing this morning, but apparently I was updating a project. And you can see right there, event name project. I just went off the out-of-box configuration and put the JSON view attribute in this message field because it's going to contain a lot of JSON. And if you do that, you get the little icon next to it in the old style 16 by 16 or 32 by 32 non-scalable graphic, but that's okay. And you can see the event name. Let me go to raw. We don't need to collapse anything at the moment. But the event name was item added, and that's what I did for my REST API. I said, oh, if I've got that, what else do I have in here? And the event data has the name. I don't have the ID yet, but I want to tease that out. So I took that and said, great. If the event name is item added, then I'm going to throw the content object at a new script include method called taskutil.updated. And taskutil is, of course, instantiated from my taskutil script include taskutil. So now we're all caught up to date. All it does is say, what did you pass me in that object? Not the JSON string. It's already been parsed. I throw it at this and I say, go look up in the episode task table what you created with the UI action and what the outbound REST message told Todoist to create. This is a response. It's almost like going out one channel and coming in the other, but all I've got to coordinate them is the text. Now, I figure from the time the task was created to the time I get my webhook response back, nobody changed the description. So we're pretty safe on this to be able to then correlate the event ID to my good old task, Todoist task ID field. And it is filling them in reliably. We have no issues there. It creates 14 tasks on Todoist. Todoist fires off 14 webhook responses. And I'm getting in sort of a back-ended way, but it seems more reliable than the front-ended way for whatever reason. I don't know what's up with that, unless I wanted to incur some sort of delay that says, hey, only create one every 500 milliseconds. Seems a little more hacky than what I came up with. So we have a working solution right now. And if we wanted to look at that right now, we can go to, again, task episode 54, save time and headaches with ServiceNow's blah, blah, blah. Use my UI action to generate the tasks. It goes and generates the tasks, which fires off. There's a business rule that says, hey, you created a task. I'm going to generate an outbound REST message. And that outbound REST message then will verify this worked. In Tech Now, I have 14 tasks. Ta-da! They worked. And if I come back here and refresh this list real quick, I see 14 new Todoist IDs. So that is what we were after at the end of the last show, is to get those Todoist IDs in here such that if I were to mark one of these closed, it will then fire off a request back to Todoist and say, now you close yours too. Or the other way, if I do something in Todoist, the webhook coming in will update the task on this end and say, oh, hey, you know what? He checked that off on Todoist. Let's mark it closed. So we have a choice here. I've got two things that are bothering me. I mean, two options we could do. Anything undone is bothering me. One is we kind of hacked this project ID field in here. And our choice for the community is, do we want to work on cleaning that up, or do we want to work on that task syncing such that if it's closed in ServiceNow, it closes in Todoist, and if something gets updated in Todoist, it gets updated in ServiceNow. We could either do task updates or make the project selection a lot cleaner. I'm good with either one. I have no opinion one way or another. Let's see if we've got...
All right, let's throw that out and give people about a minute to respond while we're letting people enter any opinions that they have on that. Let's explain a little bit about the webhook and how you configured that from Todoist.
Sure.
So you've got that set, like you selected things that would be triggers, right? You had to go into that set of checkboxes.
Yeah, there was the manage. I went to settings, and in my integrations down here, I have ServiceNow Tech now, and somewhere in here was an app manager. I honestly can't remember how I got there.
Okay,
it was through one of the API pages, and I may have set up too much because there was sort of this OAuth piece, and then there was the webhook piece, and both of them had endpoints, and I just used the same endpoint on both. So I honestly don't know that I have it configured 100% optimally, but it's 100% working. Such that whenever I change something in Todoist, let me put the settings away. I'll show you. I'll modify a task here. Let's just say, let's take at computer off. I updated review campaign materials. Save. I should see back in here in my favorites, Tech Now Today events. Boom. Item updated. But let's go look at that in a nice friendly JSON way. I just love this thing now. And I get back the ID for that task. So now I can update it directly. I don't have to correlate it with anything. I've got my event name, so we could build more into the script include and more into the REST API around the scripted REST API around that. I would then have to, there's a date added. This is going to get fun with the date parsing and whatnot. But you know, it gets us in the right direction of who did what, what's the latest, where is my content. There's content. Review campaign materials no longer has, can't see it, it's a little short, but it no longer has at computer on it.
Okay. Do you run the risk? Does this drive your decisions of how things trigger? For example, like if you were pushing on a business rule, would you conceivably set up some kind of infinite loop of things responding to each other?
Right now, the business rule for that episode task table is only triggering for new issues. But you're right. Oh, that's a good question. Because if I update it via ServiceNow, it's going to go, hey, someone updated in ServiceNow. I think what we could do is use the GS is interactive flag to say, did this change? Is this an artifact of a person or an artifact of the API? And then we could just put that in the condition and nullify this infinite loop thing.
Okay, so Casey thus far has voted for task updates.
Okay.
So everybody else has about 10 seconds to race. Otherwise, that wins 1-0 against
it's unanimous.
All right.
There has been nothing come in on YouTube. This is amazing. We got 13 people out there watching, and there's nobody responding.
All right, there you go. Task updates. Yeah, task updates, I think, is the winner. So
sure, pick the harder one. At least when I designed it in my head, it was a harder one. But now that we talked it through, it might actually be easier. I think we're getting hung up on that date stuff, which usually kills us. It's been a tricky thing in the past. All right,
I'll tell you of all the ones that we've done in the past that I have used as a reference for myself. The one where we used Moment.js to do the date parsing, I've gone back to that one more than anything else. There's a place about 20 minutes in where I like get the thing where I'm converting the moment and then converting it to something else. I was like, I've scrubbed back to that point in that video at least 10 times.
Steven says, let's go with what Casey said. I just got here. Follow the leader. All right. I'm good with that. Let's so first I think I need to put a case into my script REST API. I've got item updated. Let's do item added. Or excuse me, I've got item other way around. So here's my scripted REST API. I'm going to let's blow that out for a second. Easier to read. Right now I love this. A switch statement with one and only one case. It felt just kind of wrong writing it, but I knew I was going to be back here sooner or later. We can do case item updated. And if we do an item updated, this is where I was contemplating this morning. Do we want to throw this stuff into possibly an import set table and let it do the hard work of mapping and transforming and not whatnot? It adds some flexibility. And I think we had a breakout session or a workshop on this at CreatorCon.
It's quite possible.
Or do we just do it direct and update the task table myself? Which adds a little more logic to this the back end script include that I'm about to call.
What you should probably make the call. I guess it comes down to
I don't know. What does it buy us?
Is it going to give you something? Is it going to take away something you don't want to do? It's going to add a little bit of complexity in the fact that you've got the import set to manage.
But we could turn off business rules.
Does it take enough heavy lifting off of you that it makes
I don't know. Let's try brute force first. Let's try brute force.
We can put a pin in that and leave that as an alternative. Like we say, none of these things we're not making any irrevocable decisions ever.
Right. We're learning, if anything else, along the way. So my last one is update task ID. This is update task. I haven't named this yet. That sounds a bit generic, but we don't know what's been updated. We just get this JSON stuff back. Content, OBJ. Let's pass that in and see where we go from there. We don't know. We've already got the task ID embedded in there. So, it might be helpful is if I took this and went to raw, pasted that into a text editor window for later reference. Whee! Okay, and bring that over because we're going to need to dot walk this thing, and we're going to need to check out the time format if that's going to be problematic. It looks like it's in, what is that called? Unix ISO. Generic format. ISO, yeah, whatever. Yeah, with this lovely time zone on the end. Please, somebody tell me we can parse that natively. I don't know.
That makes it easier. Yeah, having that on there. I think it's better than not having. Yes, absolutely.
Does it help us with
because what that's telling you that's the UTC, right? Because
it looks like it. Yep. So, I'm wondering if that might be something that import sets can help us with. So I thought import sets were pretty robust when it came to importing time. Anyway, let's go back here. We've got our task update task. Copy that. Let's save it real quick. I still crack up that a floppy disk is the way you save. That's the icon. All right, we're not going to be fancy with this. Update task. Function. Todoist. I try very hard. I don't know about you. I try very hard not to name the thing I'm passing out is the same thing I'm passing in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's called content OBJ over there. It's kind of like you call it GR and GR. Like, it mentally it puts up a scoping issue in my head. I try to differentiate those two. One is content OBJ, the other is Todoist OBJ. I think it makes the script include a little more descriptive. So let's go get our task GR from glide record episode task table. And if you watched me before, what I used to do is do a this.episode task table in initialize. Now I'm starting to put them up here as just big capital things. I think it's a little clearer that it's more of a, throwback to my C programming days where that was a pound define. And I think it stands out better as an all caps thing. Mm-hmm. Your preference, they do the same thing. But if you look at some of my older code, it was like this.task table. But I do recommend putting those at the top because then if your app ever moves to a different machine or a different scope, you can just change a couple of table definitions and your whole script include is happy. I've made money off of that several times on other apps in the past. Okay, if taskgr.get, it is buried down in Todoist, obj.event.data.id. I'm cheating by looking at line 35. No, that's the event ID, but I have to specify the field name. It's not a sysid, Charles. Todoist task ID. I'm surprised I still run into people that don't know you can do this. One argument is a sysid, two arguments is field and value. So you can use get. I don't have to do a whole add query, then if next. I can collapse that all down to one thing. If you just got one parameter, do it that way. Sneaking some castaway while we're talking. So if I can get the record by that, what do I need to update? I don't know what's changed. What could possibly change? Well, this... Oh, I never noticed this initiator object. Is premium? No, I'm a freebie on this account. Oh, heaven forbid you should send mail to my personal account. I don't think there's anything useful out of here. It's all going to come out of the event data. Assigned by UID, don't care in ServiceNow. Is archived, don't care. Labels, we're not really using. I might integrate them later, but they'd be part of the text. Sync ID, nope. In history, child order checked. Date completed. That would be helpful if it was marked complete. But I don't see where it's actually complete. It's going to be null.
So what you're looking for is really a field like changed fields.
Yeah,
like
otherwise I'm going to hack it together myself. I'm going to have to take the content. So that's a given. So it's going to be taskgr.text equals Todoist obj.event data. You know what? I got to tell you, I hate doing that. Let's just call it var event data is Todoist. I'm a lazy typer, everybody. .obj event data. Haha. I'll just do this. I'm one of those people that'll take a for loop and not use a subscript. I'll just use it once and then call it item. ed.content. So there's my, if that was updated, we'll use that. If what else could be updated? Project ID is not
basically. So basically, we have to treat this like conceivably everything that could be updated has been updated, right?
Right, or really everything that I care about has been updated, and I really don't care about too much because there's not much in that record. There's content.
Here's a question. I think your deleted flag, you're going to need that. I think right now. Because you don't want to.
You're right. I didn't even see that.
If it's been deleted, then you probably don't want to take. It might actually be harmful to take that information.
That would be a different event, though. That wouldn't be item : updated. That would be item : deleted or item completed or somewhere in here we have in the sync API webhooks, items, tasks, sync. Oh. Wraggle stick rock.
Well, that's weird. That's weird,
I think we're going to get a different. We'll test that out and see what event we do get, but I don't think it's going to be an update task.
Okay.
We have, but we're going to get something different up here. There's like 7 different types of item.
Okay, gotcha.
Events.
So although those fields exist, they're actually not going to be defined because they won't have come through that handler.
And what do I actually care about in here? If it was updated, I want to see if it was completed. So if date completed is not null, right?
Was there an is completed as well?
There is deleted. Nice that they didn't put these in order. No, I think there's just date completed. It's either going to be null or we're going to have to do some testing.
Find by. Okay.
I think that's our only deterministic factor if it was completed or not. What else do I care about? Task ID is not going to change the order. I'm not going to get into ordering right now because remember the ordering was kind of wacky. Oh wait, child order. I don't know. I put a 100 or a 200 in there. It's not being very nice to me. It's not retaining those. Okay. Oh, hey, look, we're using version 8 of the API. How nice of them to tell us that. So text, the parent's not going to change. The task ID isn't going to change. That's really not much. I mean, I could put in assigned to. We're not really doing projects yet, but assigned by, assigned to, we don't have it in here. I think shoot. I'm going to have to look at a different event coming in from my production account because you can't do assignments and projects with multiple people on them in the free account. Mm-hmm. Let's just go with this right now and see what we get. Let's also check the date completed. If it's not null, then I say it's completed. We'll knock it off. If ed.date completed, then do you trust that shorthand notation in this case?
I think I would explicitly compare that to null.
Not
here's
null?
Here's the thing. So here's something I do not know off the top of my head is your JSON object has a text string called null.
It did? No. This is a real null.
Oh, that is the real null.
Yeah, that's a real null. That's why I'm thinking I can get away with this.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm going to roll the dice.
Try it.
I'm going to roll the dice. Task gr dot state equals, oh, good gravy. Did I use numeric states? No, I think this one was just open and closed. Open and complete. I can't remember. Show choice list. I think I cheated on this one. Woohoo! I want to keep it simple. I don't even think I made a business rule. There's no active field on here, is there? Yeah, there is, but I didn't connect these two yet. So we need a business rule to do that. That's fine. That's fine. Test.state equals completed. I don't really need to know when it was completed, just that it's no longer not completed. And then let's put in a task gr.updated. Boy, that looks too skinny. But if it works, it works. What do you think? It's our first test. You ready?
Well, it feels like I agree with you. It feels like there's not enough. Feels like we're missing.
There's not a whole lot in that JSON that we can use though against the data that we've got. It really doesn't match.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel like enough, but I don't know what else there is to put in there. So.
Okay, let's modify the content again. Boy, we could be debugging for a while on this one. I get the feeling we're not done with this story. In Todoist, let's put test 1 at the end of that same task. Boom. Let's run to our logs, kids. Did we get an event? Item updated. Do you see the test 1 is in there? Did it trigger? I should have put some debug statements in there, or because we are doing this with a scripted REST API, the debugger's not going to work for us. Let's just go check the data. Where's my episode? Task. Episode. And we should have one of these. Oh, look at that. Dude, take a drink.
Nice. All right.
We got lucky. Okay, next test is going to be close this thing. Oh, sweet Christmas. All right. Acid test number 2. I think this triggers a different event, but we're going to find that out real fast. Boom. One item completed. I can't resist.
It's not impossible. It triggers more than one, but let's see.
Let's go to the log and see what's happened. Item completed. Okay, so we need a slightly different one in there. We don't even need that line in there really to change it. There's no point. You're right. We don't need that if statement in the other one.
The granularity of the webhook configuration is actually doing that logic for you.
Yep. I'm going to put in here, add assignments changes when I get it. There. What is there some notation for future self to do? Is it to do :
I think if you do that, some tools will pick that up.
Okay. I'm just being nice to my future self.
Yeah, I'm completely blanking on what we'll actually read to do. I think maybe Eclipse will or something like that. Okay. Some things will register that. This is a good one for the chat room because I'm surely somebody out there actually knows because they use this. I don't use any tools that parse that out.
I'm so far digging the Todoist API. It's being nice to us. Todoist, OBJ. Really, we don't even need to pass the entire OBJ on these things, but I'm kind of being lazy because I don't know what I'll need out of that object.
I think I think it's a perfectly appropriate development step to do that. If you really cared about it, you could always go back and refactor. So, but you could basically, so the same thing what you did with that event data, you could very easily maybe just pass the event data rather than
right.
That
either
may
the
be
event
all
data
you want
or
to
the
move
bits
around.
and pieces of the event data that I need.
Yeah.
So
there's something to be said for the granularity of actually having like one parameter for each one of those things, as opposed to passing the generic.
Yeah.
It depends. If you do it that way, essentially you're kind of documenting your code is kind of documenting that API a little better. As it is now, it's like as generic as possible, right? You're just passing a payload and then interpreting it at the other end. So, I mean, if there's one thing we have arrived at in 2 years of doing this, it's that none of these are wrong. They just have trade-offs.
I'm going to manage active here for now. I did have a discussion in the community this morning about they're doing a glide record query, and I saw that they were doing add query, and they use the active field, and they put true in quotes. And I said, do not do that. That is grammatically incorrect, and it could give you false positives. So that's it. If we go get the ID, the thing will trigger it. Well, we kind of need to put our catch in the webhook. Boy, this is getting easier. I don't want to curse anything here. Item complete or completed? No, I don't remember. I think it was just item complete. This is why the history.
If it is item complete, that will drive me bonkers. It better be completed.
It is completed. Why will it drive you bonkers?
Because you have an updated and a created.
Oh, you're right. We did, and it's probably added.
Certainly, like in the history of the show, we've seen ones that are like that, where it's like an underscore one place and a camel case somewhere else, and like I'm so not anal about most things, but like consistency and API stuff. Because you're going to be using that pattern later on, right? You're going to say.
Yeah,
you're going to do that, and you're going to write the new thing. He's like, of course it ends in a D because it's the past tense verb form of this, and then one doesn't. And you go, what?
I was wondering if you had a grammatical issue about it because my state is complete. That's what I was checking while you were talking.
No, I couldn't care less whether it's complete or completed. But it's all the same.
Consistency. Yes, I agree with you 100% on that one. Okay, we have our third case, item completed. I don't know if I can still undo. No, darn. I'll tell you what you can do, though. You can go into the history and... no, it's not there. What you can do is go to the activity log. Oh, premium only. Darn. Oh, well, we've got 13 more of these test things to kill. Create main show content. Done. Let's go check the event. I can't resist. I have to see the log first. We got item completed on. Where's my create main show content? Good. All right, then it's time to go check the data. Episode. Boom. We should see one of these say, woohoo! Look at that. I hope that's the right one. It is the right one. If they all said complete, I'd be worried. Wow, okay. I thought this was going to be difficult. Now, is there any other information from this JSON doodah we want? We could store the completed, but it really doesn't matter. It's happening almost instantaneously that this date and time for sysupdated or whatever is going to coincide with the other one. So,
So one of the questions that Kevin had earlier, like when we were discussing the import set, he was actually wondering whether the speed of the import set would be an issue with this. I can't imagine the import set taking so long that would be much of a factor.
Shouldn't. A second or two.
And you've already got some latency, right? You've got, this is not instantaneous. You're doing a thing, it's triggering a thing, it's doing a webhook, there's transport, and et cetera, et cetera. So a second or two delay
it's not going to cost as much. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a couple seconds already just from everything else. And so it's not an order of magnitude difference. It's always going to be 1 second of everything else and then 10 seconds of import set transfer.
It's a fair question, though. Fair question. Okay, now we need to go the other way. Ooh, drum roll, please. This might be where we need to build out a couple more outbound messages. I don't know. Let's start.
Well, before you even do that, you mentioned the sync API.
Yes.
Last week we noted that we have a REST API and we have a sync API.
Yeah, and I haven't really figured out if we're using these right or not because I don't see tasks in the sync API.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily we just know that both exist. It's not impossible that there's overlap between the two.
It's items. That's what it is. Okay, so how do we call this? If I were to update an item, updates an item for the user related to the API credentials. I apologize. I didn't read these before. ID, content is the text. ID is required. Nothing else is because they're going to be optional for what you're updating. Why would I use one over the other? That's the overriding question is why should I care? And can I hook into the sync API with that simple authorization token that I got before?
Well, there's even a more basic question, which is why do they have both APIs? There's got to be some differentiation.
Okay, so let's do overview. Let's see. This is the official documentation for Todoist Sync API, a reference to the functionality our public API provides with detailed description of each API endpoint, parameters, and examples.
Is the whole thing or maybe we're being confused by the terminology. Maybe the whole thing is the sync API. There's not that it's a separate.
I don't know. We could try one of these. We could try sending it a.
Yeah, this seems like the way to go.
Here is, if we did an update item, we've got. Let's take this apart. I can't see it in here. There's a sync status. Okay, so that's the response we're going to get back. We don't need the object back. Let me bring this up, make a new tab there, and paste in that curl command. I want to take a better look at it. It's a little too small for my old eyes. We have our token, which, of course, I know how to get my hands on. Type item update. Easy. I would have thought it would have been event item : update, but okay, we'll go with that. UUID. What is the...
That's different than what we have, though.
What is UUID? Apologies to the... Google Assistant was telling me something went
wrong. If Google could answer it, then that would be a compelling ad.
You fixed it.
But Todoist API.
I know what UUID. I did read this earlier. It is one of those... where did I use this before? It's your typical UUID that you can get from a UUID issuer. I'm trying to remember where I used this.
So it's an arbitrary GUID that you tell it?
It's some
Todoist is not assigning it. You pick. Okay.
Right. ARG's ID priority. Okay, so
is there any reason to not use the sysid if they don't care where it comes from?
I don't know. Want to try it?
Sure.
And then ARGs apparently is an object of field value pairs. Okay. Hey, why not?
This is different than the API you used to create it.
Yes.
It's just the
notice the.
So I guess I'm now at this point I'm confused with the Todoist So they've got a different chunk of API. You create one way and you update a different way.
If you go to the REST API, no, you can create through the sync API. There is an add item here. There is, come on, bring it up.
Then
there is items.
I'm back to not knowing why they have two APIs.
I don't know. Maybe one.
That's like a
maybe
research question.
Maybe the REST API doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, that is a research question. So I mean, they go through the authorization. They call them tasks over here, and I can get task, create a task, update a task. Now, if I update a task this way, what am I providing? Data, contents, movie. Content is your okay. So this looks like it might just be field value pairs as well.
All right. Garrett tells us if you say read the overview, the top of the overview
on REST API,
that explains the difference. Yes.
This is the official documentation for the Todoist REST API. The original API named Sync API provides an easy way to deal with full and partial syncs, but it's not so simple for individual calls. REST API aims to provide API developers with a friendly way to deal with the most basic features of Todoist. We want to stay basic. I say we do this.
Okay. Then I think that it does settle it, which is it's not two separate things. It's basically like basic and advanced versions of the same.
Sure. API. Yep. Look, there's no UUID here.
I think that is that's helpful.
Yep, that is helpful. And since I'm just going to bring that down there for reference. Okay. So, let's go back to our outbound integrations. Boom. We already started it with add. So REST messages. And then we go down to our methods. We got get project list, which I was about to do, but we voted for the other option. And we'll do one called update task. Fair enough. It's a post, right?
I believe it should be.
It's a post. Sometimes you never know. And the endpoint looks like zerp. Right? Oh, we need the UUID. Okay. Well, we've got that. So the endpoint is going to be $curly brace. Do they call it a UID? Or they just call it ID?
That's not the UUID. I know. That's
the ID of the request. I wanted to be consistent with what they refer to this as, just so it's not confusing.
Yeah, and I think that they do actually. So they do have a difference between ID and UUID.
Yep, they do. They do indeed. Okay, so I'll pass that on the URL. What else do we need to make this engine hum? Let's go back to our example. I like curl examples. They're easy for me to follow. The body is going to be, I'm going to guess field value pairs.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain that the content type is
application JSON.
It is required.
It most definitely is. I've run into problems with that before. So let's do content.
Was it even this one? I was playing with something and I didn't.
It's an easy thing to forget.
Oh, it was that Twitter API that we were looking at this week.
Yeah.
That if you don't have the right content type, then it doesn't know how to interpret the information from your post.
It's a very easy thing to forget. So should we do a test? Sure, let's do a test just to make sure it works. Let's do a test value of we should test our ID. And our ID can be something valid because we actually have real data over here. Let's make this, since we've already completed it, I don't know what it's going to do. We're going to tell it to update it completed. I wonder if that'll blow up Todoist. Maybe that's not such a good test plan. Let's do this one first. Practice content demo at computer. Let's do that. We'll put that ID in there as a test value. We also need a test body. Where do you put in your test content? You don't? There it is. Okay, test content is going to be content. I am a test. Make sure we turn that into a variable later. I got caught by that before. And let's put in a second value. What else can we pass this thing?
You could pass it.
The state. Is it completed? What else was in here? We had something else in here that we could change. We could pass them date completed and see if it marks it complete.
Sure.
Well, wait, that's an update task? Let's check the API if they have a separate endpoint for completion. That might close a task. Woohoo! We need to rethink this since they're very specialized on their endpoints. Crud. What else could we possibly complete or update besides?
That doesn't.
It doesn't jive with the way we do things.
Your payload is kind of a done deal because the endpoint has made most of the decisions for you.
Right. But then if you updated and closed, at the same time, you'd have two API calls, which seems a little inefficient. You want to roll the dice again to see what happens if we put a date completed and an updated endpoint?
Sure. I have no problem with that. I think there's a very strong chance it won't complete it, but it's
ye of little enthusiasm. Oh, we have to get the date completed in their format. Darn it. Can we steal that from somewhere? Did I have an example of a date in here? I did. Here's one.
I'll just take that and add a little bit of time to the change your 20 to 23.
Right. So change it from that was at 2039. Let's go with 2120. Not quite a Van Halen album. All right. Sorry, that was a reference to 5150 if anybody was paying attention.
Or you could make it 2112 for
2112 for Rush. Yeah, even better. Okay. Test. Sure, why not? Worst that happens is we get back a malformed URL. Error code 1. It's a 400. Method failed.
Double quote Chuck before FRI.
Oh, dang. Someone is quick. They were spotting my copy paste errors. Down. Come on. Oh, look at that. It is malformed. Wah. Who gets the +1?
That's Casey.
Yeah, way to go. That's why we have 18 eyes on this thing. All right, let's test it again. I think I'm having too much fun with this today. And it's really hard for me to stay away from this project. 204? Is that an updated? I thought 201 was updated.
It says there was a reference to 204 in the complete. Maybe 204 is their standard.
It's got no response. It was supposed to come back with. No, it doesn't have a response.
You're looking at close.
Okay. Update doesn't have a response noted either. Interesting. Okay, well, we're going to get a webhook back, right?
It says 204, so.
Okay. The 204 is a good thing. Doesn't sound like it in my book. 2XX is a good thing. Let's go to the episode. I have no idea. What did we just do? Oh, we just did a test. We need to look at Todoist and see what it did. I should no longer. Oh, it updated. I am a test, but it's still open. I think we're going to have to take the two REST call approach. Oh, we're going to have two different business rules. One that says I am updated. Actually, one business rule could do it. And you could do current.operation to see what happened.
Out of curiosity, let's look at the data, like you were just about to do.
Not at
the log, but at the actual data. Did it fire the webhook and then did the test change the data?
Oh, you're right. Did we get ourselves? No, because we don't have we only have a business rule that says I have a created.
Yeah, but you have a webhook that fires on the change.
Oh, you're right. You are right. We don't appear to be caught in an endless loop. 141743 is the only one that was triggered, but it did return back the item updated.
Right.
I am a test.
Did running that test change the data of your?
Oh. Well, no, I changed it. Oh, you're right. You're right. I see where you're going. Where's my episode? I need to quick. It should have. We didn't want it to ultimately, but it should have. It
It did, because
No, we changed that on Todoist earlier, didn't we? No, we didn't. No, okay, you're right. You're
you
right.
changed that that was your test.
You're right. That was the test updated Todoist. Updated Todoist sent a webhook. The REST API, the scripted REST API, picked it up and updated ServiceNow, and we don't want that.
Yeah, that is problematic, because
right,
it's now firing the webhook for a thing we initiated from this end.
Yep. So let's put this back to practice something. I can't remember what it was. That doesn't do anything yet. Ultimately, we're going to call that script, or that outbound REST message that we want, but it at least segregates the two. Okay, let's change this back to. Oh, this is going to change it. I can't change it yet because we don't have the business rule in place to not change it. Okay, get this out of the way. Server development, business rule. Wee. Okay. Update. Task only if interactive. Yeah? Does that sound about right to you?
I'm fine with that name. Yeah.
I'm logically working my way through is what am I writing right now? Is it going to fire the outbound message or not? And when is it going to or not?
What's firing it right now?
Nothing. Nothing's fine. We have the test. The test.
I got it. So we have not wired that up, but
right?
Because you are explicitly making the API happen.
Yeah. Episode task. So we definitely want an advanced, and we want to do this after an update, because insert is going to be taken care of by the other business rule. Right.
To go from last week, do you want it after, or do you want it async?
Oh, good point. Thank you, Spirit of Andrew. Dang, I am a victim of my own forgetfulness.
That's because that's like a thing, back in the day when you and I did configuration reviews, right?
Look for opportunities.
To look for things like, oh, do you know you're going to be hanging the user's real time?
Right.
Their page load time, you're going to basically be adding the API time onto that.
Yep, you are. Okay, so the condition is, obviously, first I want to know, is interactive? I only want to do this if it happens interactively. Are there any other conditions that we want to watch for? Fire this thing.
Maybe.
That's a solid answer.
It feels like we.
I know it does.
Feels like it should be.
And something about the state, because we're not closing it, and current dot state not equal to complete.
Okay, that is fair.
Because the other business rule that we have yet to write that will close this thing is going to fire in the opposite. It'll say, are you interactive and are you complete? Boy, this feels like a hack. Wait, no. I could do this in one business rule.
Do that in the
function.
Code of that.
Yeah, I don't need two business rules for that. Okay, so it's going to be if current dot state equals complete. Whoop! Whoa, my fingers fell off the home row, I think. Gee whiz, now I'm writing regular expressions. Complete. And do that, else. I'm probably driving somebody nuts with my KNR style brackets, but good. I've been doing this longer than you have. I get to choose. Then we'll add here to do add code here to call item closed, I think, API. We'll call it something else. Otherwise, we're going to, we don't have a script written for this yet. It's going to be, what did we call it in the other one?
Well, you're going to instantiate your task util, right?
Yeah. Was it task util or was it to-do? It was the Todoist API, Todoist script. I had to remember which one it was in. Okay. So let's do, either way, we're going to need that up here. Whoop. Var Todoist equals new Todoist. You know what? I told you I'm a lazy typist. So TU Almost makes me want to write a financial utils script include. Then tu dot. I don't remember what my naming standard was in that script include. I want to be consistent. Is it update? Is it? There's create task. Well, let's just call it update task then, shall we? Update.
Yes. Let's do that.
And we'll pass current, since we don't know what else we're passing. And that should do it. Yes. This doesn't feel like enough mass.
It feels like there's I've lost a little track of the wiring. I've forgotten what's different between Todoist is the outer shell and TaskUtil is...
Todoist is where I'm calling these REST APIs, the outbound messages.
Todoist is the actual... So TaskUtil is the higher level stuff, and then Todoist is the actual... Yes.
TaskUtil is all about taking care of my tasks on my system. Todoist is all about firing off messages to update the other system.
Okay.
I wanted to segregate those so I didn't have the REST code with the... Gotcha. I don't know why. It just seemed like an easier way to test. So in theory, we could... Oh, we didn't talk about the order. Is the order in here anywhere? It was, but remember, they weren't giving me the order that I gave them.
They're just giving it a...
Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 child order.
It's just an index. So your arbitrary thing that allows for interpolation doesn't exist there.
What I could do, I know this is kind of hokey, is even if I said 100, 200, 300, I could always take the webhook response back and put in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they'd be in sync. Maybe that's later.
Mm-hmm.
It'd still be in the right order, and then when one changes, the other changes simultaneously.
So what would then happen if you put something in between them? Because the only reason to have those hundreds...
Oh, it would reorder all the other ones, which would you get webhook calls for all those other ones? Ooh.
Well, yeah, so the only reason to want to do those hundreds is to allow you room to put it inside, but then that would, if your assumption is...
Right. It would be ugly on our side. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Update task. Function. Wow. Kids don't drink and code. Oh, Stacy Bailey had the best one-liner on a quote on our last Tech Now show. It said, "Always code as if the guy after you is a psychopathic, homicidal maniac," or some words to that effect.
Who knows where you live?
Who knows where you live? Yeah. I can't believe I've made it this far through my career and never heard that. That just blew me away. I said, Stacy, you're in the club.
This is the number of times we talk about future, being kind to future you. That is the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, I think the be kind to your future self I got from Mary Ellen. But anyway, let's see. What do we need to do? We need to paste in a whole bunch of code that I copied from above. Replace AskGR episode. That's the project ID. We don't need the project ID for doing an update. We need content and we need ID. But the ID is not a string parameter. How do you get the ID into the URL?
The ID,
the
ID is an integer, right?
What did I call this? Update task. Good. I called it something sensible. So let's put update in here. Or do I have to construct the endpoint myself and just avoid this nastiness?
So you can't you can't just two-string that integer?
Where do you put how do you get the ID into the endpoint in this format? I've never done this before.
I see what you're saying. I'm not 100% sure.
Is it a parameter? It is a parameter. It has to be a parameter, Dave, because we set that.
Okay, yeah.
In the parameters.
If you just tell it ID, then it should
ID
do that dollar interpret.
Yeah, I've never run into this situation before. I usually give up and just start crafting the endpoint myself. What was it? Task, Todoist, task ID. Let's go with that, and we'll update this to say update task, so it's in the right log. Did I say anything else? This is the part that I took out that wasn't working from the response body. So I should really take that out. I was showing it just for demonstration purposes to say, hey, guess what? I forgot about this, but that function doesn't even exist anymore in the task util. We don't need 2 function declarations, which means we probably have 2 parentheses at the end, or curly braces. No, we don't. How did I avoid that? Okay. We have our catch. You ready? You ready? You want to try it? It is officially...
It's the bottom of the hour. So
bottom of the hour. Why not?
Remember how we started this.
Okay. We don't... Oh. I told you not... Don't let me forget this. There's a parameter out there that's hard-coded. We know this doesn't work, so let's take that out.
Okay.
That's our content, and the content needs to be a variable. In quotes.
Well, that's your... You're updating the test run, right?
Am I? Doggone it. Yes, discard that. I didn't mean to do that. I need it over here. I need this from I am a test. Otherwise, everything we update is just going to say I am a test. And that wouldn't be any fun. It'll be good catch, content. And get rid of this. Once we know that doesn't work, we're going to have to come back and figure out how to do that date formatting maybe next week. Content is content. ID is on the parameter.
Is that the right endpoint?
Yeah.
That's okay.
We copied it right out of the curl command.
Tasks. Okay, so it's the same endpoint. Okay, got it. It's the verb is.
You're telling it I want to update this task with
okay.
this content. And my script include says, thou shall update. This is my content. So put that into the content variable. Put this into the ID, which is already exists because when it was created, it was synced. Unless somebody's faster than the REST API coming back from the webhook, that's not a problem. Everything's updated. I don't see any blue dots there. Oh, what do you say we give it a try? Why not?
Give it a try.
We got practice something over here. We've got the same thing over here that was I am a test. So let's change it to something brand new. I have no imagination. Let's open it up and say, let's get out of here. I'm probably going to screw it up with a quote or something. And magic happens. REST APIs, I hope, get called. Hey!
All right.
Rocking success at the end. Oh, wait. We better make sure we really killed that infinite loop thing. We should have a webhook that did nothing on the back end. Well, I don't know if we're going to know. If it's running an infinite loop, we'll find out from the logs.
The webhook should have come back. It's essentially a no-op because it's going to say, right. It's actually going to try. It's actually probably did the update, but it did the update to the same values you just passed in.
But it won't.
It won't have altered them unless there's a very.
You're right. The webhook isn't smart enough to know interactive or not. It just updated it twice, didn't it?
So what you've got is a very narrow race condition, which is, let's say you just hit the save, and then you change it really fast, faster than that came back, which is probably not humanly possible, for what we're talking about, but it is a conceptual.
Right.
Conceptual situation.
Your second change overwritten by the.
Or let's just say there's really slow network for some reason. There's a transient node failure, so that this takes 20 seconds. You could actually have updated in the middle, and then you're gonna have a webhook coming back, and you're gonna be out of sync with that. So
we don't need this webhook update to run though. How do we prevent that webhook from doing the same update we just did manually? That's the curious part.
That might be a thinky think for between now and the next time we come back to this.
Good point. Anybody in the chat have any ideas? I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to end on. We've got some nice tangible success, and we've got kind of a head scratcher of exactly what we want to do with that webhook, because we've exposed that we've got to prevent the webhook. We've got to know the difference between whether or not here's what we want to know is we want to know whether the webhook is responding to us or originating something, because
right. And I don't think it's smart enough. I don't think it has the payload to do that.
So we maybe have to figure that out, or we have to put something in there, because you could be editing on ServiceNow and updating via API. You could be editing directly into Todoist. And how do we tell the difference? That's the conundrum. How do we tell the difference between ultimately where it began? I don't know.
Conceivably, we could possibly do something with labels. I know labels aren't available to the free account, but I'm willing to throw in my tokens for next time to make this happen. The way that it's done with like Alexa, when I tell Amazon Echo to create a new task, there's a tag that automatically gets put on. It's a label that says this was done by Alexa. So we could have our scripted REST API and go, hey, this was done by ServiceNow. Don't touch it. We don't need to react to it.
I'm actually okay with that. That would be that tag would be readable in the body of it, right? Or is it like a tag?
It would be readable in the body of it. You are correct. When I look at, where's my Todoist?
See it in Todoist.
It would say, it wouldn't say it like this. It's actually nicer when you get to use tags or labels. They show up down here in a little color that you can use, and you manage them in the label section. So it would be very subtle. It would say at ServiceNow or whatever we wanted to call that.
Garrett is pointing out that let's say you write that tag into the text of it, and you update something that's not the body, like the text of the content. You still got that tag is still in there. So it's still gonna be there, and yeah. If we put it into the, we'll noodle on that. It's a good suggestion, but I think we're gonna have to inject something that gets reflected back to us to say I'm the originator. Yeah. Because if I'm managing but if it's still in there, if it was put in originally by ServiceNow and then I modify it later, it's still going to be in the updated. Right. You would have to, like the Alexa thing, they control both ends of it, and they can wipe it out. So they can basically reset, but we don't control the other end. Okay. We got a head scratcher. I like having that to think about for the weekend. Let me unshare my screen. That was fun. That actually is just about optimal, because we had success in all the places we want it. We have enough. We have enough to think about. That there's still some meat to consider. Yep. And it's good. So this is interesting stuff. So that really, I like this problem. I mean, I don't like that we have it, but it's a really interesting. The nice thing about these things, like when we do these, what we want to do is have problems that map across a lot of things, because this is not the only place it's going to happen. Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. This may seem specific to our program and our app, but realistically, you will have REST APIs that you need to keep in sync. Whether or not there's a sync API out there or not, you will find a webhook, and it's going to start talking back and forth. You go, well, wait, how do I keep these in sync two-way? When one is the originator or when the other is the originator, how do I know who made this change? Yeah, these are very realistic problems that we all have to think through. We have things like, in our knowledge creation toolchain, we had, webhooks that came from GitHub. You could have the same kind of problem there, right? You make a thing, and then GitHub's telling you back something changed, but you started it, and now what, So, so if we can think of so that also puts the burden on the solution, ideally, to not be extremely Todoist specific, because ideally what we want is a strategy we can map across anybody, any time that we're responding, we're occasionally getting a reflection back of the change we initiated from this side. Yeah. This is a very open discussion. I'm going to keep an eye on the LCAHH Slack channel and see if you guys have an idea of, in the SN Devs, so sndevs.slack.com, if you haven't been there. If you haven't, I'm not sure how you found this, but either way. and let's have a discussion over there. See if anybody's got any ideas, and we can try them out and see what happens over the week and flesh them out next week. Okay. Very cool. All right. What is your rating on your beer? I seem to have no low ratings for any of the Kona beers, so I'm going to give this a 4.25 for the Castaway. Oh, strong. I'm going to say
And it's an IPA. So, I mean, I've been rating IPAs a little lower. They're a little harsh on me, but this is a milder one.
I actually don't. I'm hoping this is on camera. I can't see myself. But all these beers, generally they're I have yet to have one that's terrible. I have yet to have one that's exceptional. So I'm going to give this one like a 3.25. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing, if you gave this to me at a barbecue, I would be perfectly content, but it's also not going to rock my world. So 3.25. Let's call it that. All right. All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you, Chuck. Any last comments from the chat room? Yeah. So the chat room is kind of discussing exactly this issue of if it's the textual tag, we're going to keep reflecting it no matter what. Yeah. So how do we do it? Yeah. And Twitch, I was paying attention to you this time, Twitch. I couldn't, but nobody chatted. So we're open to that. I will forever and ever henceforth, I will pay attention to Twitch every time.
He's got a Post-it note on there that says, smile and pay attention to Twitch.
I'll tell you, here's a future thing that I want to look at is, does Twitch have an API for chat? And does YouTube, I'm pretty sure it does have a chat API.
So what if we had a combined thing, some sort of alert?
Yes, the meta chat where they echo back to each other. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Twitch does. I don't know about YouTube. That might be.
No, I know YouTube does.
Oh, it does.
That.
Okay.
YouTube has that. So Twitch, I don't know about. All right. So we have one person who just says yay to that notion on Twitch. Thank you, Foxhog. All right. With that, we will enter our weekend. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Chuck. And we'll see you again next time.
See you next time. Thanks, Dave. Bye, everybody.
All right. And now it's going to be a long goodbye because I've got so many windows. I can't find the off button.